Right. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Hello, hello.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry, guys. Just getting situated here. Did I hit the wrong thing? There we go. There we go. There we go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? As you come in, please make sure you hit the like button and you hit the subscribe button if you feel compelled to subscribe to our channel. For those of you that don't know who we are the McRae Kingz. I am His Majesty Tramel, and that's my husband over there, Joseph. And I hope that you enjoy us weekday mornings at 11:30 a.m. for Coffee with the Kings. This is an up close and personal interview with a very, very, very good friend of ours. Uh, she is also a content creator here on YouTube. She has a very, very interesting channel, I have to say that. And she has a movement, she has a message. But today she's here to tell us her story. And her name is Roxanne Roxanne of Speak Your Truth with Roxanne Roxanne. Hey, how you doing, Roxanne?
Hey, everybody.
Yes, Roxanne, like myself, has endured some things in life. I like to call us. I don't like to give, accolades to negativity. So I like to say that both her and I, including my husband Joseph, we are survivors.
Survivors, that's right.
Survivors of sexual abuse. And for those of you, if you think you cannot handle listening to this interview, because this interview is in depth, and there's going to be some very, very strong accusations, words, things like that are going to be passed back and forth amongst us. If you feel as though you cannot handle this, please,
this is not
feel
the
free.
one you want to watch.
Feel free to exit if you want. As much as we appreciate you being here, we understand if you cannot. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this interview over to my husband Joseph and have him, talk to Roxanne and, you know, uh, tell us her story.
Hey, Roxanne.
Hey, Joseph.
But of course, we want to know the story as much as you can bear to tell, because it's a story.
It is.
And let's start at the beginning. So,
Well, I was raised in a two-parent household. Both my parents were law enforcement. A lot of other people in my family are also law enforcement, like Tramel's family, father. Um, and what I can tell you is that even before the sexual abuse started, I've been able to see some pictures or video of my brother when we were 3, 4 years old, and pictures of myself in kindergarten, first grade, hair never done.
Wow.
Looked unkept. So there was some neglect going on even back then.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, there was some.
Today, how does that make you feel today? That you can look back and see these pictures of yourself. Does it play like a film strip? Do you just look at these pictures and say, "Wow"?
Well, it makes me angry, and it makes me angry because the way that you treat your children, that's how everybody is going to treat your children.
Exactly. Right.
And when I say everybody, I mean teachers. Very few people are going to step up and say, I'm not treating that child like that. You find more people, especially family, who, and of course they made me the black sheep, so I was just no good. You don't want to grow up like Roxanne. What? Roxanne is always taking care of Roxanne and her children.
Right.
But yeah, because other people could see that we weren't taken care of,
Wow.
even going into grade school. And so on top of dealing with molestation and emotional, physical, all of that, then you have this.
Right.
Right.
And even children notice that your parents aren't taking care of you. They can see the difference.
Right.
So that was really the start of it. But I think when I was in the 3rd grade, I was 7 or 8 years old, is when the abuse started. And my father came into my room, laid in the bed. That's my dad. So of course I'm a little girl. I get up under him,
Right.
because I'm a little girl.
Right. Right.
And then he starts fondling me, having me fondle him. And it progressed. It progressed. Finally, I told my girlfriend, because at this point, it was physically hurting. He was having intercourse vaginally and anally. And it was about like holding me down and forcing himself on me, which was very painful.
So you would fight? You fight him back, or?
I made it hard. I couldn't fight him because the time when I tried to fight him, he beat me up.
Oh, wow.
And beat me up really bad.
Wow.
So I did. My girlfriend at school said, "But that's not right. You need to tell your mother."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Okay." And so I went home and told my mother. She called the police. They had the police there. They had child welfare there. They took me for a rape kit. And at that age, a rape kit is very traumatizing. It's very traumatizing.
I can imagine. I could imagine. I mean, you're you're 8 years old.
And they're giving me an exam that they usually give to adult women once a year.
Right.
At that age. So I'm sorry?
You just took me back to a whole place when it happened to me.
Me too.
When I told my mom and they took me to the hospital, it was like I don't know how long we were there, but in my mind, it was like forever. And doctor after doctor would come and examine me. It was like, and then I'm embarrassed because of how they had to examine me.
Right.
Right.
I totally understand.
But see,
as a woman, it's probably even worse.
Right.
Because me, it's just lay down in a fetal position and then they can see. But with you, guys, worse because they gotta actually examine you
and go in you to open it up to make sure everything is where it's supposed to be.
Right. But see, my thing with you guys is both of you guys, y'all's abuse was actually documented. Mine wasn't. Mine wasn't documented. I told you, it was like, oh, shut up.
Well, that didn't do me any good that it was documented because we went to court.
Really? Okay.
We went to court.
Mm-hmm.
We get into court. It's me and my mother. He doesn't even show up. Once she gets me seated, she gets up and leaves the courtroom. She said she had to put quarters in the meter. No.
And she just left you there?
She left me there because she knew I wasn't, once they called my name, she knew that I wasn't going to get up because I was a child and I was frightened. I was scared. Right. She knew that. They just set me up. So when she finally got back, basically the judge said, well, we're just going to shelve this. And if it doesn't happen anymore, we'll just let it all go. But she has to be in counseling and he needs to go to counseling. Well, his counselor was done with his, I guess, pastor of his minister of her church. So we all know that that's not real counseling.
Right.
I would never send anybody to a church for any kind of counseling. You go to, you can have religious counseling, but not counseling where you're doing, you need professional help. Go to the professionals.
Right.
So
I don't understand. I don't mean to cut you off, but here's the thing that I don't understand. And Joseph, I'm really like trying to deal with this. This is like I am shivering. I'm shivering because I'm really holding back my tears here. But you told your story to these people. They did a rape kit on you. And this judge allowed your mother and yourself to walk out of this courtroom with basically a slap. It ain't
Not even a slap.
Just
She
like,
didn't even show up. So was it really a slap?
But you also have to remember, it ain't like today.
yeah,
Back then,
Right.
they probably saw
that's true.
Roxanne was probably one of 20 other girls sitting in there that day,
Right.
because that was something prevalent back in those times. And very few girls told. And when they did tell, it was like they were made to be like they were liars.
Right.
Because for whatever reason, not all mothers, but a lot of mothers rather have the husband than believe the kids.
Yeah.
Right. And she never called me a liar. But what happened was, thank God I was able to see one of the top child psychologists for a little while. And that was really good. That 45 minutes that I spent with that counselor, Dr. Vallis, I know her name. That 45 minutes every week was really the only time I ever had peace, because I knew I was in a safe environment and no one was going to hurt me.
I know that.
Just that. Can you imagine living your life all week long and you only feeling safe just that 45 minutes?
Afraid. Just afraid.
Right. And that, yeah.
You don't understand about people. Oh my God. That's what people don't understand about people that have endured abuse, is that we lived our life scared. Joseph, I was scared. There was times when I was just so afraid. I was afraid to play baseball. I was afraid to hang out with people. I was afraid of everything. If I thought it was going to hurt me, I stayed away from it. Or I stayed in the house. People don't understand. Listen, abuse it's
just a terrible thing. And I look back and I don't even know. Well, I do know. I know it was the grace of God who kept me and carried me through.
Yes.
But I used to pray back. I can remember praying back then and asking God, why? Yeah. Why me? Why do I have to hurt so much?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when am I going to get out of this? This is just, and so what ended up happening was my mother believed me, but what she thought was that I was coming on to my father. So she treated me like the other woman. Oh. For instance, he bought her a sweater and some pants to match for her birthday. Mm-hmm. And you know how men don't really know how to shop. Right. So he buys this sweater that's low cut like this. Well, she doesn't. She has a very small chest, so that really isn't the sweater for her. So she said, "Oh, you bought that for her. You didn't buy that for me." I was a whore. She hated me. She would tell me she hated me regularly.
But as a grown woman, do you not see that she was jealous of you? Because what she wanted, and it's a sick way of thinking, but you had what she wanted. So
and I didn't want it. Right.
That's right. That's what I was going to say. As opposed to protecting you as her daughter, she was the woman next door. Like it was your fault that this was going on.
Right. And so, and social services did make me leave the house, and I had to stay next door with my grandmother. And that wasn't too cool because she was angry with me because it's his mother. And I honestly believe that this kind of thing runs in their family.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. I truly believe that. And I know that my family, some of them knew what was going on with me and did nothing.
Right.
They did nothing. So the next time he tried, and of course he kept, once they brought me back into the house, and social services will come and visit me every week or so, you know, just to check in. But because she had told me, do you see all this trouble you got us in? Do you see all this trouble? You tell them it only happened one time and he only put the tip in. That's what you tell them. That's what she wanted me to tell the police and everybody else. Not the truth. And so from then on, I was treated like the black sheep of the family. I was so bad. I was just a bad kid. I was just this. I did talk back because my mother's mental illness, because she was mental ill, the children, myself and my brother, took on a lot of responsibility in the house. Like they were too trifling to even pay like light bill, phone bill, you know, gas and electric. They just wouldn't do anything. So it was so bad in my home that when the people came to cut the electric off, they wouldn't even cut it off. They just knock on the door and ask me to write a check. Wow. The kid in the house.
Wow.
So you make me behave like a kid. I'm practically raising my brother.
Right.
Being molested and beat up at all time. And your biggest gripe with me is that I'm your husband's whore. Wow. And I'm too grown. No, I'm not too grown. You put me in grown-up situations.
Exactly.
You put me in grown-up. There was nothing wrong with me as a kid. What was wrong with me is that I had you for parents. Yeah. And I can see that when I'm looking at my children who have grown up to be pretty good adults. They're not perfect, but they're not some shit either. You know, they're pretty good people at heart, you know. Yeah. Well, and when you see them with their children, when I see them with their children, I'm amazed at how good a parent they are. My oldest son is connected with his children.
Right.
The twins are connected with my granddaughter.
Right.
That's kind of like their baby, the twins.
Right.
Even though she has a mama, the twins are like, that's their baby. It's really the son's baby, but
you know what it is?
Yeah.
You know what I think it is? I think because of what we've endured, we become more endearing with our connections with our children.
Yes.
With our nieces and our nephews. You know, those little people in our lives, because I'm telling you, there was a time when I looked at all my nieces and nephews and said, somebody done did something to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel right until I was able to prove it was not so. When you have children, like you make this pact, you kind of make this mental pact with yourself to say, I'm not going to do to my children
what was done to me.
Done to me.
Yeah. And a lot of us overdo it.
Yeah, we do. Some of us overdo it. Like, listen, let me tell you something. My mother still holds my hand when I cross the street.
My son does too. The baby, the 18-year-old, well, 20-year-old now. Right. He holds my hand too. But he ain't had a girlfriend yet.
Yeah, I get it.
That ain't gonna last long.
In a totally different light when you've been through something like this. Listen, people out there that are listening to this interview, just a little side note for you. I'm here to tell you, if you have endured or if you come from a place of abuse, you have to either tell your story or you have to release that. You have to release it. You got to release it and you got to let it go and you got to move forward with your life. Now, I'm not going to say that sometimes the memories of that is not going to come back, because it is. Because it comes back.
Does, right.
Sometimes quite often. But I'm in a place where I'm able to handle it in a different situation because of therapy.
And sometimes come back at the time where you're not even expecting it.
Yeah, it does.
I never would really tell anybody my story. And I'll never forget, I was on the bus coming home from work. And I saw this little boy, he was sitting next to his mother on the bus. And I'm just looking at him. And like the stare was so hard, I had to break it because I'm like, child, if somebody see me staring at this little boy, they're gonna think something.
Right, right.
But I was looking at him because I saw his innocence. And in that instant, in my mind, it was like, oh my God, somebody stole all of this from me. I never had a chance to be like this little boy. I never had a chance for somebody to make me believe whatever it was I wanted to believe, or believe in Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny, because somebody stole that from me at the age of 8 years old. And it was like, I sat on the bus as a grown-ass man crying, and people are looking at me like I'm crazy. I know why I'm crying. But they only knew I was sitting on the bus listening to my headphones, and I just broke out in tears. Because that was the first time that I ever went through that. I never experienced it because it was such, and that's something like you said, when you said keep quiet. That's the problem with us Black people. We want to believe what happens in the house stays in the house.
And that's bullshit. And that's bullshit.
Right, because that's what makes a lot of us unstable mentally. Because we trying to hold on to things and not tell somebody and figure it out ourselves or pray that it goes away. And none of that. It was like you said, we got to see a professional that is trained to help us in that area.
And it takes a whole community, y'all. Listen, and let me tell you, parents, this: it ain't nothing wrong with you checking your child when they come home. There ain't nothing wrong with it. It ain't nothing. I had a friend who used to ask him, "What you do today? What you do today?" You know, he would leave his child with the babysitter. He would ask questions. He'd ask his child 10 million questions. I'd be like, "Why is he sitting up here asking this child that?" You know what I'm saying? But you have to.
You have to be proactive. And I didn't, you have to teach your children how to use the correct language, vagina, penis.
Yes.
That needs to be taught from day one.
Yes.
And what I noticed is that angered my father. He didn't like that.
And see, if you're in a community, if you're a part of a community like me and Joseph, we live on this cul-de-sac, and everybody speaks to everybody. Everybody knows everybody. You know what I'm saying? We don't know each other's business, but if it should happen to be an issue, I can call my next door neighbor. Like we call my next door. We send a message to our next door neighbor and ask him, "Do you want us to take the garbage out?" He was like, "No, it's okay. You don't have to." But what I'm saying is, if you are a member of a community, you consider yourself a member of a community. If you have a next door neighbor that you deal with, y'all go out, y'all hang out, y'all trust each. You as that next door neighbor, it is your responsibility. If you see something, you have to say something. You either have to say something to the parent, and sometimes the parent may get mad. Listen, let me tell you something. When it comes to children, I don't care about friendship.
But you can call. This is the thing. I'm not going to even give them that out because my family could have called social services and nobody would have known who did it. So I can come spend the night at your house, but you wouldn't dare let your child come spend the night at my house. That tells me that you know what's going on in my house.
Exactly. Now, let me ask you this, because we're going to get back on. We're going to get back to this with Dad. Was this all your childhood, your teenage years? Did you endure this? All
the way up until I went to college. Yeah. It's a long time.
That is a long time. You had your father on this side, abusing you, and then you had your mother on this side,
who was very physical, emotionally abusive. She just is.
How did you manage that? How did you, as a teenager, as a child, how did you manage that? Let me tell you, I'm listening to you say this, and I'm like, how do you survive that? How do you manage?
What I can say is that it was but God, and a lot of things I don't remember, but I'll have a dream, and in the dream, it brings it back to me.
Yeah. I've been told of these same dreams.
So that PTS is real in my life. But I just had to live one day one day at a time. And the other thing is, not only did I catch it at home, but I caught it at school because she's only shopping at the thrift store. So I'm looking raggedy all the time. My hair isn't done.
Wow.
So by the 5th grade, I just started doing my own hair.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't even know my hair wasn't done because I didn't know I was a kid until one of the other kids started teasing me about my hair not being done.
Yeah, because we talk about neglect too. We're not just talking about sexual, physical, and mental. We talk
Right.
about
All of it. Right. I have had all of it, you know. So I would get, teased, and I learned how to fight really early on. I got hands because I had to.
Yeah.
And not only my battles, I used to fight my brother's battles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what it is like, there's no one I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of any man.
Yeah.
Now, I know better than to fuck with a crazy person, or not. I know not to mess with a two, but I'm not afraid of anybody. I grew up with a monster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there are very many people who are as bad as him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty much not afraid of anybody. And that's because of the way I grew up.
Right.
And all of that trauma, that was trauma. And I'm not talking about here and there. I'm talking about he used to prey on me, prey on me. And then my mother, let me tell you how stupid she is, or was. Tramel, your father worked shift work, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why would you ever be on a shift that's not the same shift he's on?
Right.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you expose your children to that?
Right.
Why would you leave the house and leave me there? But you won't allow me to lock my door.
Uh-huh.
I can't even lock my door because you've broken the lock, so I can't lock the door.
Wow.
So,
which doesn't give anything, it just gives him more access.
Right. Exactly, because they're not working the same shift.
Right.
But he has all the access to you that he can endure.
And for that reason, did you ever think that maybe they were not necessarily cahoots with each other, but she did that so she wouldn't be home if he did mess with you, and it would make it easier for her because she wouldn't have to hear it,
yeah.
Or she wouldn't be home to know he was sneaking into your room.
Yes.
And she did those things so that she wouldn't be there, to make it convenient for herself.
Right.
So that she wouldn't have to endure being there when it happened to you.
Right. See, I think Mom.
Well, she was never there when it happened. Very few times. He wouldn't mess. That's the thing. He would not mess with me if she was there.
Right. See,
he waited until she wasn't there.
Yeah. See, I think this is what this is what was going through Mom's head. Mom was like, I know this is going on with my daughter. I don't like it. She has this irrefuted feeling about her daughter, and she's convinced herself that her daughter is the other woman. And she's like, I'm going to let happen to her what happens to her. I know it's wrong, but if I'm not there, and then I'm not a part of it.
No, but
I'm not a party of it. And so I'm going to continue to live my life and do my thing, being selfish, and living my life, and whatever happens to her.
I don't think so.
No, but at the same,
I don't think so. I just think she fucking couldn't stand me.
No, because also you got to look at it this way too. Let's just assume, just for argument's sake, he treated her bad when he couldn't get to you. So as long as he could get to you, she was happy because he wasn't treating her bad.
Now that may have okay.
She made it easy for him because as long as he could get to you, it became easy for her.
Right.
Because now he doesn't have a reason to be mad at her or curse her out or yell or scream at her or say, well, why aren't the dishes clean? When in actuality, he really didn't care. He was just trying to piss her off to make her leave the house.
Right.
So if she left the house, she didn't have to endure that.
Right.
I mean, either way, whatever it is, it's still wrong.
Yes,
she allowed it to you. But I just for me, I just can't see a woman allowing her child
But it happens
no, when I
so
say that,
much.
but there's always a reason.
Yes, there's always a reason.
Whether it's she just wanted that man and that was the way.
Well, she told me she was just trying to keep her family together.
Right.
So in other words, it didn't matter what you needed or what you wanted or your childhood that I was robbed of, because I feel robbed of my childhood also.
Right.
She just didn't care. I mean, let me tell you, eventually, when he started messing with me, he would use rubbers, and then he stopped using rubbers, and I caught something from him, like trichomonas or some bacterial infection. I don't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Took me to the doctor. She took me to the doctor. The doctor told her what it was, gave her the prescription. The doctor asked me, do we need to put you on some kind of birth control? She says no, because she's not going to be having sex. So once she left out, they got her out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And the nurse told me, if you want birth control, you come back here and I'll have it for you. Because the nurse just assumed I had caught it from a boyfriend or whatever it was.
How old were you then?
Maybe 15, 16.
Okay.
My mother filled that prescription and she took it.
Are you kidding me?
That's how bad my mother treated me.
Walking around with some type of sexually transmitted disease. The doctor has written you a prescription for it. And your mom didn't even give it.
She didn't give it to me.
Come back. Did you go back to the doctor and tell them that you need another prescription? How did you overcome that?
Now, the lady that lives next door to me on the other side, my grandmother was on, and there was another, she owned the hospital up the street. But if I was to go in the hospital, the man that lived across the street was a doctor. So I couldn't even go to the hospital because he's a doctor there. So what I did was they had a clinic. They had opened this clinic.
Okay.
In my area where you could go, and I went and they treated it. But that was months after.
Praise God. Praise God.
But then that means, and again, I'm just reading
that she knew.
Right.
That she also had whatever symptoms you had. And instead of embarrassing herself going to the doctor, she'd rather embarrass you and make you look some kind of way. Right. And then, okay, well, if that's what she got, then I know that's what I got because we're having sex with the same man.
Right.
I can't.
And she wasn't about to give him up. And she's a piece of shit.
I'm going to ask you something and you don't have to answer. You don't. Because it's real personal. Did he ever actually get you pregnant by accident?
No.
Good, thank God.
No, and I think because they would be able to tie it back to him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we weren't gonna let that happen.
Yes.
And when I went to that doctor that time to get it cleared up, I put myself on birth control.
Okay. No, that's why that he at first he was, and then he stopped. And I was just like, oh God, please don't. Because that's like crazy.
I mean, it happens though to some people. There's a lady on YouTube has 3 kids by her father.
Yeah. Actually, one of the guys from the Fugees, he actually is in jail right now, serving over 100 years because he impregnated his daughter 4 times. Yeah.
And I can remember I got out the shower and went in my room and closed the door. Mm-hmm. He comes in, follows me in, and this time she's at home. Mm-hmm. And she's coming up the steps and catches him coming out of my room. She came into my room, balled her fist up, and began to beat me.
Wow.
Because he came into my room.
Ain't that nice?
She didn't open her mouth to him. She did not open her mouth to him one time, ever.
Wow. Well, guys, let me just say this. We're going to break. We're going to take a break. But I want you to understand this. Roxanne, although she has endured she has endured, she's a survivor, just like me and Joseph, of abuse. She's had some great milestones in her life.
Yes.
She's a married woman. She has children. And as you can see, she has a great platform.
We're going to talk about that when we come back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that when we come back. So let's break and come back. So
okay.
Here we go.
Y'all see that? See what? I didn't know he had it. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Y'all see folks, I was just trying to figure out how to record. I am not for play, boo boo. I am not for play.
All right, y'all. We're back. We are back. Here we go. We're back. Oh boy, y'all make sure y'all check us out weekday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Coffee with the Kings. We have
This ain't coffee.
Pretty.
I should have went and got me a drink.
Pretty interesting conversations in the mornings. Or at least we try. Also, guys, don't forget, Joseph's birthday is coming up, and we will be having a birthday extravaganza for him. We're going to have masquerade. The theme is a masquerade. Get your masquerade mask. Joseph is holding his up. That's one of his masks that he planned to wear on his birthday. And I'm surprised you got red, because red is my favorite color. You got a blue one, but
actually, when I ordered it, I had ordered a pink one.
Oh,
because I wanted pink, but I put 2 in there. And when I went back I had already ordered it, so I had to cancel it out. And when I did, I couldn't find the original one, so I got that one.
Well, see, mine is coming today. My mask on me. I can't wait to show off my mask.
My mask gonna be better.
Listen, if you miss out on Joseph's birthday,
you win a prize.
Everybody if you miss out on this birthday party, y'all, this is gonna be the best virtual birthday party you have ever seen in your whole entire life. Okay, we got food, we got cake, we gonna have music, we gonna have everything. You hear me?
Because it's a milestone. I'm turning 50.
Yeah, he's turning 50. And one of his biggest, Joseph had, he told me before we got married, he was like, Jamal, one of the things that I really wanted to celebrate really, really big was my birthday. But unfortunately, COVID-19 hit, you know, and I wanted to plan like this big party that everybody can come to, but unfortunately, but it's not to worry because we're going to celebrate. Like
That's right. I'm going to be there.
Brown said, we're going to have it. This is a celebrate. We're going to have a
This is celebrate.
Mark your calendars. April 16th.
Next Friday.
Next Friday is Joseph's masquerade.
Oh, shucks. What time are y'all going on Friday?
At 8. We'll be on at 8.
You know, that's the same time the 18th.
That's right. That's right. Well, maybe the 18th will pop in or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'm going to pop in.
Yes. It's okay. Yeah. So, y'all, with that being said, we're gonna get back on board with this interview because Roxanne has had, although she's endured, you know, some tumultuous times in her life, she has had some great milestones in her life. Roxanne,
yes,
happily married, right?
Happily with the love of my life. Yes.
Tell us about you, your family, your children, if you want to share that with people.
Jay and I were, I think we were 14, 15 when we met. He moved into the area in Maryland where I lived. And maybe 4 or 5 years later, he moved back to Greensboro, North Carolina. But we always kept in touch. And we actually went to prom together, even though we were in different states. He is the love of my life. We've been married twice. So the first time that I married him, I came down to Norfolk because he's in the military. He's in the Navy.
Okay.
I was having some issues with my depression. And when I went to see the doctor in my area, who was a military doctor, they refused to give me antidepressants.
Okay.
Refused. So my answer, I don't know if it's my answer, but my dumb behind, started snorting coke with a girlfriend. And what I noticed was that I was here, and when I snorted coke, I was here. But then the crash is you crash down here, down here. And it actually makes it worse. So you're always trying to get more to get here.
Right.
But then it's a crash. And then you need more to get here. So it became a vicious cycle. Thank God that did not last long. Eventually, and let me just say, during this time, I completely ruined my marriage. Completely. I was a different person. And there are things that Jay has told me that went on during that time that I don't even remember.
Wow.
That's how gone I was. I don't even remember some of the conversations we had, some of the things I've done, but I know that I messed it up, and I messed it up big time. And I honestly didn't feel like it could be fixed. Eventually, I just paid to go see a doctor and was put back on my antidepressants. And once I got regular on my antidepressants, I haven't touched drugs since. I don't even crave them. You know, so basically it was self-medicating. Right. I was actually self-medicating, but when I was able to get medicated, I didn't touch drugs anymore. And that was probably 22, 23 years ago. Wow. Because Justice is 20. So yeah, that's probably been about 22 years ago.
Wow.
that happened. And statistically, statistics say that I should have probably been a prostitute, drug addict, in and out of jail,
Right.
all of the bad stuff.
Right.
But God. Okay.
They have been through this. They have
Right.
been through things like this. This is what happens. You go down this slippery slope. But the thing
Right.
about
In
you,
your adulthood, it plays out in your adulthood all over the place.
Yeah.
Your choice of men, your choice of friends, all of that plays out.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
And it stems from the childhood, the trauma from the childhood.
And this is the thing that I love about you, is that you recognized that there was something that was not right with you. And you acknowledged that, and you went home without anybody, and you sought help. Like, something is wrong with me. And
well, wait a minute, Jamel, because I only sought help because they were threatening to send my children back to my parents.
Oh, wow.
And for me, I may not have loved myself,
Right.
but who I did love was my children.
Right.
And I wasn't going to let anybody send them anywhere.
Right.
So if I got to get my shit together, I got to get my shit together. So let me go to this doctor and get these antidepressants to bring me back to where I need to be.
Right.
And the thing is, I'll always need antidepressants because of the trauma that I suffered as a child. Your brain develops totally different than a regular person.
Yes.
Okay. So, and then we're talking since I was 8 till I was 18. Okay. So that's a lot of years.
It is.
10, 11 years. Because I can't remember if I was 7 or 8, but that's a long time to have that trauma in your life. So of course my brain is not developed like everybody else. There is a difference. It's been proven. And I will always have to be on antidepressants. If I'm not on antidepressants, I don't know what'll happen to me. I just don't make that mistake of not being on antidepressants. But the point to all of this is that once I sought help and got medicated, I no longer mess with the drugs.
Yeah. Doesn't it feel good to be mentally healthy? Doesn't that feel good? It feels good to me. Like
it feels so good to me, but I have to thank God, and I have to thank my sister and my husband.
Yeah, you talk about
those two people. Yeah, God put those two people in my life when I needed them.
Yeah. Now, of course, you told my story, and I told you that my relationship with my family was very strained. Of course, that has changed. And the one thing that I'm like you, I can look back and I can tell you that my sisters, one of the great conversations that we had was that they said to me, Sherelle, we acknowledge what you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
We just didn't really care for the way you went about expressing it.
That's not up to them.
For that reason, my sisters and I, we are able to have conversations about things that have happened to me. I can tell them things, and I can and know that they really feel, what I went through. That was
right.
My biggest issue was because my abuser told me, he said, nobody will ever believe you.
And you believe that.
Yeah, and I believed it. And so when people would, when I would tell people, they would be like, oh, Sherelle, shut up. That's not true, or you're lying, and so on and so forth. I believed them. It made me believe it even more and more and more. But my sisters never told me that they didn't believe me. They never said that. They never said they didn't believe me. They just said that, we understand you went through this. Let's try to go about this a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason,
that's a person who really wants to work it out with you.
Yeah. Even my mom. You remember we had this conversation when I did my interview. You said to me, and I said to you, my pastor said, Sherelle, you'll never get the answers. You'll never get the answers that you want to get. You will never get the reaction that you want to get from, you know, what has happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
He was right about one thing. I never got the reaction, but I did get the acknowledgement. I got that. I got
And
that.
that's important. That's important. And
Mhm.
that's the biggest reason why I do my channel, because
Right.
I want, well, my sister pushed me to tell my truth. She made me go to one of my good Judys and tell my good Judy, whose name is Kimberly Harris. She
Uh-huh.
made me go there and tell her the truth.
Okay.
And I know, Kim, I'm gonna send this video to her once y'all guys do what you have to do. But I know she probably thought I was crazy as shit. I thought she was crazy. I know she thought I was crazy, you know. And at the time, I was also doing some things that weren't healthy. So sleeping with people that I had no business sleeping with,
Mhm.
you know, that has been the thing too. People always say, you know, you think like a man, you act like a man because of my upbringing. Yeah, I can have sex with you and I'm done with you. I don't even want to talk to you no more. It's just, you know, that
Mhm.
just a physical thing for me. It doesn't mean anything, you know. But as I've gone through counseling and when I make love to my husband, it's totally different than what I was used to doing. You know, that bad behavior.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different. Now, I would never sleep with my sister or my friend's brother. I mean, my sister or my friend's man. That kind of thing I never did. Because the people that I call friends and the people in my family, I love them too much to have done anything like that. But I have seen it where people have done that because they just become
Just reckless.
yeah, reckless because of their childhood when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But my thing was, I love my sister and my friends more because I don't have a lot of friends. My circle is very small,
Right.
very small, and it's very small for a reason. But I could never hurt anyone like that.
Right.
The things that I did to hurt, it actually hurt me. I was hurting myself,
Mhm.
not anyone else.
Yeah. And you guys, sexual abuse can take you down so many different avenues. It can. It can take you down so many different avenues. It's like, you know, us having this good discussion. You know, look at how well together Roxanne is. You know,
Now, right.
myself well together as well mentally.
One thing I have to say about both you and Roxanne, of what I know of Roxanne, I know you, my husband,
Mm-hmm.
but my abuse was not to the level of you guys' abuse, and I found it so hard to open up and love. And I always tell you, I'm amazed that you can still love me the way you do with everything that's happened to you. And the same for Roxanne, because for me, I built up this wall. And it's like I wouldn't let nobody in because I didn't trust nobody. Everybody was trying to hurt me. I was like, Roxanne, all you had to do was say I was cute and I was having sex with you just because I could take all the emotion out of sex. I could take it all out.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
My business. And don't think you was falling asleep in my bed. I was like, this ain't no bed and breakfast. You gotta go. Because I didn't want to get attached to you. I didn't want an opportunity for you to turn around and leave me or treat me some kind of way, because I felt if I did it to you first, then it was safe. It was a safe space for me to do it to you and be done with you, as opposed to acknowledging what I actually just did and who I actually just did it with.
Right.
So I applaud both of y'all for being able to love and being able, because even Chanel can tell you, he had to tell me, you need to move this brick wall. You already know me.
Right.
You already know who I am as a person. And I'm like, but it's hard. Like, you to get to know me, you have to chip away so many pieces.
But
of
you know
brick.
what? Let me say this.
Right, but I was starved for love. See, I think that's the difference between you and I. You weren't starved for love because you had your mother and your sister, and they love you. And your mom loved you, and your sister still loves you. See, I didn't have that because my sister didn't really. Well, she came into my life at 18, but we didn't have a bond until we were grown.
Right.
But see, that's where therapy entered for me.
Right.
Because like you said, I always knew a woman could love me.
Right.
Whether it be you, women always loved me.
Right.
It's
Right.
one woman in my life that just could not stand me, and I don't know why, and I really don't care.
But let me just say this.
For me, it was, in being gay, it was worse because I was starving for love from a man.
That one child.
And I couldn't even get that love from a man from my
Right.
own father.
Mhm.
So it was harder because it was like, oh my God, no matter what I do for a man, they don't love me.
Right.
So let me close myself off to it because if I don't open up, and then the ones that I opened up to didn't want me. They didn't want me like that. So now I'm in the depression of what's wrong with me? Why is it that I can do whatever they want? They still don't want me because I had it wrong. And I don't care what you do for somebody. If they don't like you, they don't like you.
Right.
And
Right.
spend your whole life giving them whatever you got. If they don't like you, they don't like you.
Mhm.
Right.
Be so long. Like I had to go to therapy because I'm like, I don't understand. I know what I'm doing wrong, but I need somebody to help me figure it out. How do I stop what I'm doing wrong?
Right.
I would get to the point of then they're stalking the person. Because if I put my mind on it and I loved you and I wanted to love you, I was following you, I was sitting in front of your door, you was gonna love me the way I loved you, or else.
I'm gonna make you love. Right. I'm gonna make you love me.
But here's that from a man, never from a woman, because I knew women could love me. It was that I wanted that from a man that could love me.
Man.
Let me just enlighten you guys a little bit. I can only enlighten you when it comes to me. As a person that has come from a place of abuse, of sexual abuse, and have endured this and are a survivor of it, I look back and I say to myself, what was the one thing that I strive for? What was the one thing that I wanted? The one thing that I wished that I could have? And that one thing was love. Or the love, somebody loving me for me, or me loving them for them. Or, and us coming together and feeling the same way. That is the one thing that I have strived for. That's why I'm married today. Because my husband loves me unconditionally. I will not accept anything less. Okay? I won't accept anything less. He loves me unconditionally. That's it. It's a blessing. It's a blessing for me.
It is.
Something that this
It is. I always say that Jay was my blessing. I was able to have a second chance with him. And everything I lost when I walked away because I had messed up so bad, I got back and then some.
Right.
So God has been good to me.
Right.
He has been good to me. I never thought in a million years I'd be able to redo this and do it right.
Yes. You never thought you would live this life, but there are so many adults, teenagers, and children out there right now that are enduring what we endured, or even worse. And we just got to pray for these people. We got to pray for these people. We got to pray that somebody watches this.
Or even people,
and goes and tells somebody. We got to pray that there's a mother in this chat that from now on, when after she finishes watching this interview, she will ask her child the questions that she needs to know.
Well, I'm gonna say this: I noticed with my mother's generation, the daughter relationship is not very healthy. It's not very healthy in the Black community. And my relationship with my daughter is really good. She get on my nerves because she always saying something smart.
Ain't all kids saying something smart.
But that's because because I felt like nobody listened to me. I let my children express themselves.
Okay.
And it was hilarious. People used to come to my house just to see them because they were hilarious and they spoke their mind. But what happens is once they get to be teenagers, that shit ain't cute no more. It's getting on your nerves. You know what I'm saying? So that was me overcompensating.
Yeah, you like my sister, my older sister. Her kids do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not good. It isn't good. There's a middle where I should have been. Not too far or not too far, but right in the middle, where you allow your children to speak and say what they need to say. But my daughter just, Lord Jesus, I love her though. I love her. And I'm so very proud of her. And when I look at her and all she's accomplished, I'm very proud of her. And I feel like I didn't do such a bad job.
That's right.
When I see my sons with their children, I didn't do such a bad job. They're good people.
That's so know. Well, let me ask you this, because we're ready to, bring this down.
Bring it on home.
What we want to know more about your channel. What's next for Speak Your Truth with Roxanne Roxanne?
Well, my platform is always going to be open for survivors to come on to talk. I'm not a therapist. I just have life experience. I can tell you what worked for me. I can tell you what might work for you. I can tell you where to start. But I think the starting point is actually being able to say it, to a crowd of people, whether you're crying or not. It doesn't matter if you're crying. You notice when I did the interview with Blogs and Fiction, I didn't tell her not to cry.
Right.
Because you may need to cry. That's a good thing.
Exactly.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I want to give everybody their voice. Start there. Share your story. Tell what happened to you, even if you have to do it without your face.
Right.
Say it.
Get it
The
out.
first time I did it, when I went to my girlfriend Kim's house, Kimberly Harris, I drove home and I felt like a weight was just lifted off of me. It was the best feeling ever.
Wow.
Now I can come on to your show or anybody's show and tell what happened to me, how terrible it is. And it doesn't hurt as bad as it used to. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed because I had spent years being ashamed. There's nothing for me to be ashamed about. So I'm going to have those women tell their story. I'm also going to have some people come on that are working in the community to stop this type of thing. That's scheduled for the 12th, I believe. And I'm going to have people who've written books to come on to promote their books and to tell their story and just information that women and men, survivors, can use in their personal life and trying to get people on the right track. It's never too late to fix your life.
Yeah, that's so true.
Because mine wasn't fixed until my late 40s. So I went a long time making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision because of my childhood. Now, I can't blame my childhood, though. Let me get this straight. Because I'm an adult now.
Right.
Okay? And it's up to me to fix me.
Right.
You can't just keep blaming your childhood for what happens to you and the bad decisions and the wrong man that you were with.
Right.
But you do see that there is a connection. There is a connection.
Yes, definitely.
You learn to set boundaries because, of course, with me, I didn't know boundaries. I've never had that option. So I didn't know how to set boundaries with people. Always trying to people please. I don't do any of that anymore. I keep my circle small.
Yes, you like me.
I don't include people who are not loving people. If you're not a loving person, you're not going to be in my circle. I'm not going to consider you my friend. I see bullshit coming a mile away now. I don't always catch it at first. But eventually I'll catch it.
Right.
I'll catch it. You know, and I'm a person who doesn't read between lines very well. I do not read between lines.
Right.
And
Bring something to your attention, you can look at it and say, okay, this is what it is.
Right. There you go. And that's something that I'm gonna have to develop as I get older.
You don't have
Yeah. And it will.
Joseph, I keep on telling him, I said, Joseph, when you turn 50, you're gonna see you're gonna see the world in a totally different
way. Yeah, and that's true.
Like, Shamel,
that's true, Joseph.
Like, Shamel, I know everything. You can't tell me nothing. I'm like, Joseph, I'm telling you, wait till April 16th. When you wake up in the morning, you go gag. Because you're gonna look at listen.
So much different. That's true.
But when I turned 50, it was like, oh my God, I knew I was stepping into something.
Right. I did too.
I was stepping into something. And just listening to what you're saying, this is your journey. This is your journey. This is what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the McRae Kingz, we are supposed to be existing at this time.
Exactly.
You're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
Remember, before you even launched your channel, I said, this girl is going to just touch people. And that's it.
Oh, yeah. I hope so. I think this is my, what do they call it?
Calling.
There you go. I think this is what my purpose. I think this is my purpose, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
100%, Roxanne. I do. I believe that. I believe in you so much. I really do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do.
Well, thank you.
I really do. And y'all know I love y'all to death, the both of you.
Yes. Yeah. Of course. Y'all don't know. We got a brotherhood, sisterhood off camera, so you know what I'm saying.
And I told Tracy, I said, yeah, Tracy. I said, congratulations on your new channel. I'm your sister. You don't know it yet, but I'm your sister.
My sister-in-law. And let me tell you something. My husband Joseph was like, "Sure, you gonna carry the bag?" You gotta carry my bag, child. But thank you so much for joining us today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And I want to say, if you or anybody you know is a victim of a sexual assault, you can call 1-800-656-4673. They are 24-hour support. They offer 24-hour support. And if you don't want to call, you can go online at online.rainn.org and get help.
Yes. And
yes.
Help. When I tell you, I said I wasn't going to cry. I'm trying not to. Y'all know how emotional I get, but I'm ready. I am so in these tears up in me. But listen, guys, once you watch this interview and everything is over with, get help.
Yes.
Tell you, get help.
Get therapy. Get yourself into some therapy.
Your life. I fought. The person that came to me and said, Shamel, you need to go and seek therapy. I was like, boy, I cussed him out. It wasn't me. You hear me? Well, no, it wasn't Joseph. But I cussed him out. I was like, ain't nothing wrong with me. I ain't crazy. Y'all, we got to get rid of this stigma in the Black community, especially in our community.
It's not crazy. That's not crazy.
Not crazy.
Right.
Seek therapy. Your mental health is the most important thing besides your physical health. Get help. If you need help, I don't care. And let me say this, and y'all might not agree with me, but this is what has worked for me. Don't go talking to mama. Don't go talking to your sister. Don't go talk to your cousin, Keisha, because they can't diagnose you.
They cannot.
Unless they had therapy themselves,
right.
They can direct you to the nearest therapist they used.
Seek a pastor and somebody that's going to
a
professional. Seek somebody that's going to sit and listen to you without judgment, without opinion, without anything. When I first sat in that room with that therapist, it was like a bright light had come over me, and I was like, this man is sitting up here, he listens to every single thing I'm saying. He's not trying to empathize with me or anything. He's just listening. See, that's what you need. You need to get your story out. And whether it be the avenue of Joseph and Shamel, the McRae Kingz, or Roxanne Roxanne, you need to get your story out.
Yeah.
And as Roxanne will tell you, and Joseph and Tramel will tell you, the McRae Kingz, if you want to get your story out with us, you're coming into a place of non-judgment. You don't have to show your face.
Right.
Okay? It can just be vocal or whatever. But we're not here to get your story just to create content. We are here to get your story because you need us. You may need us. You may need us. You may need us. And if that's the case, if that be the case, feel free. Feel free to write to Joseph and I, or feel free to write to Roxanne.
People write to us all the time, and I'm sure people write to Roxanne as well.
Yes.
They do.
Our information in the description box of this video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all make sure y'all watch all of us on all social media platforms. Y'all make
Yes.
McRae Kingz, go
Yes.
subscribe to Speak Your Truth with
That's
Roxanne
right.
Roxanne.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the 18th. Thank you so much for lending us her for the day. But you guys, make sure you watch us on all social media platforms, okay? And you know, any last words, Roxanne? Anything? Any message? Any last words to the people that you want to?
Last words. Pray. Pray, pray, pray. Pray. And then go get yourself some help.
Yes.
Because everybody deserves to be healthy and happy. And you can be that if you just take one step in the right direction. And God changes things in a minute.
Yeah, he does.
Just like that. He'll change things in just like that.
Girl, don't you get me up here speaking in tongues.
Well, that has been my experience.
Yeah.
So.
I remember faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
Right.
Sit back hoping and waiting for it to change. But I learned from my own self. You can sit and pray for something all day long. Unless you take the first step to start trying to make it happen, it ain't gonna happen. And
You have to get some kind of counseling. You do.
Right.
Yes.
And Roxanne, tell everybody where else other than YouTube they can find you if they're looking for you.
My website is www.speakyourtruthwithroxanne.com. You can become a member there, make a donation. CashApp is $ROXG 1969.
Okay. And are you on Instagram or any of that?
I'm on Instagram as Roxanne Green. You can find me there. Mm-hmm. Facebook, same thing, Roxanne Green. Or you can Facebook Speak Your Truth with Roxanne.
Okay. Sounds
so y'all
good.
got it.
And y'all can see her on Friday nights with the 18th as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yes.
On the 18th. Now it depends on who's broadcasting.
Right.
Sometimes she does it. Sometimes it's Mad Church.
Right.
Sometimes it's Let Me See a Transcript. And sometimes it's Daryl Moore.
Yeah, so you have to
subscribe. All those names. So if you want to see her live and up front and close and personal, acting like me and Tramel.
Yes, you can go to Friday Night Live. It's a bunch of fun going on over there.
It sure enough is. Y'all be having me cracking, especially
yes.
Roxanne to get mad. She will turn her camera off in a minute, honey.
I be eating.
Okay.
I be eating, y'all.
With that being said, we're gonna get on out of here. Y'all make sure y'all walk in love, peace, sunshine, happiness, and all those great things. This has been up close and personal. And remember,
it's TheMcRae
all damn day.
Thank you guys for having me.
Talk to you guys soon.